Hello and welcome to Front Row Racing. It's Sunday evening, which means it's time for the Front Row Racing PCS, the Project Cars Sunday League, where the drivers will be taking the Ford Falcon Aussie V8s around the Brno circuit. Yep, that's the same circuit that we saw the drivers going around on Friday in the old Lotus. So for a few of the drivers, they've had a race of experience around this track. However, these are completely different cars. And talking about things completely different, I have a new guest, or is it an old guest, in the commentary box with me this evening. So obviously I'm Front Row Racing DP, and joining me for commentary is GT5 King 786. So how are you this evening, Rian?
Hello, good evening everyone, and I'm very well, thank you, Dave, and it's great to be back.
Good. So, have you recovered from your little crashes of going around in this car?
Well, my hand hurts a bit, and I think my back is taking a bit of a tumble, but I'm looking forward to seeing how these drivers handle this car in this rather tricky track.
Yeah, it is a very tricky track. The circuit's a tyre eater, the cars are tyre eaters, and it could be a very, very interesting session. Now, some people might think I was taking the mickey out of GT5 King there. I'm not. I was actually going to suggest to you the other day to have a little go in them, but I thought, no, I'll leave it to see if you do. Because, I mean, even myself, and they are absolute animals. They can spin out on you at any point, even off the start. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see that here today.
Yeah.
Okay, right, we're on for a 15-minute qualifying session, then a 5-minute warm-up session, then we've got a 24-lap race. And as qualifying just gets going, I'm going to go through the last race result and the current standings, but I reckon we'll have a quick look at what the old weather's going to be like. And I tell you what, it's not looking very nice out there, Rian.
I don't think it is very, very foggy indeed.
It is very foggy. So if you're watching this on YouTube, folks, and you're thinking the quality's not looking too good, it could be that the quality's not looking too good, but it could also be that it is very, very foggy out on track at the moment. So very different conditions to what we had the other day. This could make it a very, very awkward race. So Rian, I'll tell you what, you watch a few of the cars going around the circuit, see how they're getting on with it, see if they're flying off anywhere, see if they can actually see where they're going. I'm just going to quickly run through last week's result. Okay, Hesselden took victory. GBM Beardy had won every race before last week, but Hesselden managed to steal the maximum points last week. Livebry finished second, GBM Beardy third, K-Slay fourth, GT Gavin fifth, Neotig sixth, Dave the Harp seventh, Andy Russell eighth, Adam 4600 10th, Richie Davey in 11th and Chris Core 12th, although Adam 4600, Richie Davey and Chris Core did not score any points, unfortunately. In the standings, it means that we've got GBM Beardy leading the way on 91 points. He's 11 ahead of Livebry in second place. Hesselden's then in third, another 23 points behind on 57, and then we've got quite a gap again to K-Slay, who's on 39. Neotig is on 37, and Neotig won't be racing this evening. His PS Plus has run out, unfortunately for him. 1 point behind him, GT Gavin 2, who I'm riding on board with at the moment, joined me for commentary on Friday as well. And then we've got GBM Vectra and Dave the Hart both on 35 points. Chris Core on 21, Adam 4600 on 20, then we've got Front Row Racing RI on 15, Driver Montana on 11, although Driver Montana is having to drop out of racing at the moment, but is hoping to return in the near future. M1989 Woolhouse, he's got 10 points. Andy Russell has got 8. Richie Davey, he's got 0. He has joined us for another race today, but I was telling Rian a few moments ago that he joined for last week's race and then messaged me afterwards saying I can't drive those. So I think he may have had a bit of an extra bit of running in these. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Richie Davey's not a shabby driver, and he found these cars very difficult to drive. Jason has got 0 points, and he's been massively unlucky this season. His crash at Brands Hatch being a good sign of that. And then Lielmo McElroy also on 0 points. So, Rian, how are the guys getting on out there on track?
Not too bad actually. Well, they are a bit bunched up. It looks like Richard Davey had a bit of a moment, but I think he's letting someone through. And yeah, it does seem very foggy indeed. I think the foggiest I've ever seen actually in this game. And oh, there's a car slowing down, I believe. I'm not sure where that is. Yeah,
James Hulkenberg, was it?
James Hulkenberg? No, it's Yasin. Then everyone off, go past turn 4, I believe that is.
It could well have been. It's very difficult to see exactly where they are. And don't forget, Rian, you can use your L2 R2 to get the track map up, and the timing screen. I'll try and not use those too much on the broadcast, but it is going to be... I mean, the drivers may be able to know where they're going. Oh, Jason runs a little bit wide. But for us in the commentary box, it is going to be difficult to know exactly where they are on track or which car is which, because until it gets close to the screen, it's not very easy to see them. Now, Rian, you may need to just turn your microphone level up a little bit, because these cars are a little bit noisy, and as much as I love hearing the sound of V8s, it'd be nice to hear yourself a little bit louder as well. Okay, let's see. Already 5 minutes into the session and we've not got a single lap time on the board yet. I think lap time around here could be looking somewhere 1 minute 45s, 150, something like that. No, actually it won't. It'll be I'm trying to think. In the Lotus, I'm fairly sure James did a 1:46, so I think we should be looking at 47s, 48s.
Well, we've got some drivers. The four drivers so far has posted lap times. GBM Birdie posted a lap of 2 minutes 1 second. The conditions might affect their performance, possibly because of the lower track temperatures, and also the visibility as well could put them off. But so far everyone's above the 2 minutes. Second place is Hulkenberg, third place is Hesselden. Their top three separated by 2 seconds. And fourth is GT Gavin.
Here's a question for you. You mentioned about the conditions affecting the lap times, and I think the fog may be beginning to lift a tiny little bit. I mean, temperature-wise, it is going to have a massive effect. The track will be, but around here, the guys might actually enjoy a colder track. It could look after the tyres a bit more. If the cars are sliding, though, it won't be looking after the tyres at all. But the fog, I mean, could you perhaps try and put it into perspective for the viewers of just what kind of effect driving in the foggy conditions could have?
Well, it could be, for example, luckily these cars will have headlights on, so the drivers will be able to see each other. But in terms of braking points, depending on how difficult it is to find braking points, then that could affect them as well. And also in terms of finding the apex of the corners as well, that could have an effect. I'm just trying to see. Nobody's still faster than 2 minutes, so no. Dave the Harper just posted a lap for 2 minutes 3 seconds. So
I think Hulkenberg may be on a semi-decent one here, and I tell you what, while he's on this lap, the fog is definitely lifting. You can start to see a little bit further and further. So sort of from now until the end of the session could be the times to try and get a decent lap in. But I mean, what you said is exactly right. I mean, yes, they'll see the headlights or the brake lights of the cars around them if the conditions are like this. But as you also said, seeing the braking zones or having the confidence in those conditions, because all it takes is that split second of, am I at this corner or that corner, and then you're away from the apex, you could be off the track. But Hulkenberg, he's been bumped down to 4th place at the moment, but he's just coming around the final corner. And we've got the dodgy camera angles here on the start-finish at Brno, and he hasn't improved his time, so maybe he was just on a bit of an outlap there. Dave Harp's back in the pits, and Hesselden is out. Is he on a... Hesselden is on an outlap, I think. Let's see, Chris Core.
Yes, he is. Chris Core's going through the last couple of corners now. I do like this part of the track. I mean, one thing that's particularly good about this track is that there's no really tight corners. I mean, all the corners are quite smooth, but that can tempt the drivers to go a bit too quickly out of the corners, and with these cars, if you do that, then the cars will definitely punish you.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. I mean, it was very interesting, something that James Hulkenberg said to me after his win on Friday around this track. He said that this track tempts you to push. Sector 2 mainly, it tempts you to really push it through that sector. But if you do, you go slower, you shred your tyres. He says, but if you go smooth and you take a rhythm through the whole of the sector, it'll feel slow, but you'll just gain a huge amount of lap time. See, Chris Court, he's into the final corner. Currently 10th place on a 205.869, as someone's just sent a stack of tyres up to the moon by the looks of things. I see Chris Core hasn't improved on his lap.
Looks like Heselton is on a pretty good lap. He's 58 second sector, which isn't too bad. Everyone else is doing about 1 minute, so let's keep a competitive lap from him.
It could be. I've just spotted as well, G1990 Jones, he did manage to get in time. Let's see. That means we have got a full grid of 14 drivers. GBM veteran.
Heselton has improved. 2 minutes dead from Heselton, sorry to interrupt you there.
That's alright, it's not a problem. He has improved, and he's so fast, he's already back in the pits. Now, live Bright, he's going around turn 1, I believe that is. I mean, turn 1 around here, I mean, that in itself is a corner that could make you quick around this track or make you slow around this track. I mean, I know when I've raced around here, and I'm sure you know as well, when you've got such a long corner which can be taken with so many different lines, it can become very difficult to find one that gives you the most time through there, the most speed through there.
And the GBM Brno is in the pole position currently. He just did another 2 minutes dead lap with only 800 separating GBM Brno and Heselton. And Hulkenberg has also posted a 2 minutes dead lap. I didn't actually see that with 2 minutes dead .102, so that's 900ths off.
I tell you what,
so it's pretty close. But
I tell you what, Ryan, keep an eye on GBM Beardy. He's the one that's been sort of popping it pole position. There's GBM Beardy, Heselton, but I'm keeping an eye on Live Bright at the moment. He's just absolutely nailed another set of tyres on the inside of a corner. A bit of damage to his car by the looks of things. He's currently in 5th place on a 2-minute one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the guys go for a couple of laps here as the weather's improving, the track's rubbering in, the temperatures are rising a little bit. I mean, something for the drivers to think about as well is, I mean, when the weather's changing as it is, do you go playing about with tyre pressures to compensate?
Well, if you've got time, then I wouldn't see why not. If you're, as long as you know what you're doing. But I'm guessing, well, I know most of these drivers anyway, and they know that they're professional enough to know what they're doing in terms of fiddling up with the setup.
Live Bright has just gone and chucked it on pole position. He's the first into the 159s. He's a whole second ahead of GBM Beardy.
Very nicely done from him. See if anyone else is. Well, I think the top, GBM Beardy and Heselton will have something to do with that.
Is GBM Beardy on a flying lap or on an out lap? Do we know?
I think he's on an out lap currently.
Okie doke. I see Heselton
approaching the lap. So. Sorry.
It's alright, go on.
Yeah, he's on a lap. He's just approaching the last couple of.
Yeah, there's been no sectors from him, but we'll keep watching him because he's about to start a new flying lap. I think Live Bright going and knocking a whole second off Beardy's time there. That's got and grabbed his attention a little bit, and everybody else's. But
yeah.
I mean, I do think the lap times could reduce considerably if there's enough time for the drivers in these last sort of 2.5 minutes.
Well, if anyone wants to go out, I think it's possibly too late, to be honest, to set a lap.
Yes.
So whoever's out on track right now, as long as they cross the line with about 2 minutes 5 seconds, then they can set up another fast lap, the final lap.
Well,
whoever's in the pits are done.
I tell you what, we've got two cars very close to each other at turn 1. I'm not sure who they are because I just saw it miles in the distance as I'm watching GBM Beardy here.
It is Andy Russell and Bullhouse.
Okay, that could be interesting to keep an eye on. But we'll see if GBM Beardy can go and steal back pole position here. Now, I've asked most of the people that have joined me on commentary on the project cars, and that is, are you a fan of this, it gets to 0, that's it, job done? Or would you prefer to see the drivers have the option to finish the lap they're on?
Oh, personally, I think it's a stupid thing, and one thing that I'm still, not really, well, you could say angry about, but something that I'm really annoyed about, that slightly, whoever the developers of this game, like, they haven't actually implemented some sort of feature that will allow the drivers to finish off the lap after the time is finished. And it's kind of weird, and it kind of does get frustrating for the drivers to do so, but it does add a bit of
pressure.
Pressure, yes, that's the word.
Okay, well, feeling the pressure is GBM Beardy. He's got a couple of corners to go, 1 minute left, so this is his last attempt.
And I don't think he might actually take full position right now. I could be close, I never know. The start sector is absolutely beautiful. Approaching the last corner now, nicely done, nice apex. On to the line now, and what's happening now?
He's not improved. That's it's the horrible camera angle change that you've just experienced there. It's Hulkenberg spinning! It's Hulkenberg spinning, that's his lap done and dusted. Let's see, GT Gavin's in the pits. See Case Slay, I think they've all got a couple of cars just coming up to the finish line now. See if either of them change position. Case Slay does move up to 6th, moves David Harp down to 7th, and that is effectively session over, although Woolhouse, no, that's turn 1, so yeah, session over for him. Jonesy's had a spin.
Yeah, and Jonesy's had a spin, yeah. And yeah, whoever's on track, which is Hulkenberg, Woolhouse and Jonesy, they've, well, there you go. Session over.
Yep. Now, sometimes 15 minutes seems very, very short, and every now and again it feels long. I think that was a quick one for the drivers. But Livebright takes pole, GBM Beardy 2nd, Hesselden 3rd, James Hulkenberg 4th. I didn't really see who was in 5th there, my apologies. GT Gavin 2, then K-Slay, Dave the Harp, GBM Vectra, Chris Core. Could do with a little bit of extra time there to go through the field, but there we go. And I tell you what, we go to the warm-up session and the weather has come in again. Now this is something that I know there's been discussions obviously between drivers about F1 and the weather system on that, or not necessarily the weather system on it, but the weather forecast system on it, and what information the drivers get. As Andy Russell, he's going for a spin, and I must admit, on project cars, yep, going for a spin on the exit of the turn 1. Yeah, I must admit, on project cars, it doesn't really give you that feeling of, right, you've just finished a qualifying session, the weather's turned nice, start your warm-up session, the weather's still nice. You can go from really heavy rain to dries up, to go to the warm-up session, to really heavy rain out of nowhere. I would like to see it sort of a much smoother progression, or perhaps even the option for the host to sort of select whether it is a continuous weather system or whether it is a sort of effective, it could be later in the day, it could be the next day.
Yeah, because I remember actually in Russia, the World Championship race, that it stopped raining. Well, it was time for the well, it was a wet start, intermediate start, and the slicks came out around about lap 17, 18, but the rain was still falling until at least lap 28, but it was still dry enough to go on the slicks. So the F1 game does have a very, well, the rate at which the rain falls is not constant. It does change every now and then, which does make it rather interesting and quite fun.
What I like about that is, I think a lot of the time it does. Oh well, Andy Russell's good for a semi-spin. A lot of it depends on the track. So if you're at Singapore and it rains, it ain't going to dry up very quick at all, because it's getting into the evening, the temperatures are cooling down all the time. If you were at Brazil and it rains, when it sort of begins to stop raining, it will dry up very quickly. Russia's sort of a bit of an interesting one because it's not like a really hot country, but it's also not a really cold country, or at least it's not when it isn't winter. So yeah, I mean, I do like that there is sort of different weather progressions, but as I'm sure you know, Rian, on F1, you'll be sat there in the pit lane and going, okay, it says it's going to be sunny for 20 minutes, but it says it's going to rain in 30. Well,
Yeah.
there's no indication of whether, is that 30 minutes, 10 minutes after the end of qualifying? And I have heard that that is something that they are looking to work on for the next game, because it would be better if it had a qualifying weather forecast and a race weather forecast. But there you go. Okay, anyway, for the viewers, this warm-up session, this is just about giving the drivers the opportunity to get on track with full fuel on, get a feel for what it's like, also to get their strategy sorted out. And strategy could be absolutely vital around here. As I've already mentioned, they're tyre-eating cars on a tyre-eating track. Now, there's 2 tyre compounds the drivers can use. Well, there's 3. There's softs, hards and wets. I don't think we'll be seeing the wets today. But in nice conditions, the softs tend to only last about 5-6 laps on a track. But around here, I reckon they'd probably only last about 3 or 4. So we could see a lot of pit stops this evening.
Apparently it says that we're on track.
Well, technically we are in the pit lane.
Or just like, because I went to your name and it just said that the car was putting out the garage. And then it changed the camera view and you were back in it.
Casey doing something he did at Spa. And this is another sign of just how difficult these cars can be to drive. And I mentioned about how tricky they can be to get off the line. In Spa, Casey did about 3 or 4 practice starts in the warm-up session. One of them ended up in an absolutely enormous crash because after what we would call turn 1, someone had parked up to do a practice start. He parked up in the grid slot next to him and someone else came round the corner, absolutely flying down the hill, and nailed the both of them with no room to get past them. But Casey is a very competent driver. So for someone like himself doing practice starts, it does go to show that these cars, it's not even easy just to get them off the line.
Yeah. Well, it's people set laps, and pretty close laps actually. David Harper and Andy Fussell both in the 2:06s. But anyway, it's now on to the race.
Yep. So, any predictions then, Rian?
Well, I believe that Live Drive was pretty quick in qualifying, pretty much a second faster than anyone else. And my money is on him to win. You
know what? I think I'd agree with you on that one. He'll want to make up for not being able to race on Friday, but then the lights are now on, about to go green, and away the drivers go. They're going to make their way down to the first corner where they can't really see much at all, so we could have some huge collisions. But I tell you what, one of the guys has had an absolutely fantastic start. Either that or he's had a jump start. Let's see, I think we've had a bit of a collision at the back here.
Yep, David Hart has gone down to 14th.
He has. So Jason 13th, Chris Cole 12th.
Another car gone off. That was Keithley who's gone off. Exit of turn 1.
And I've just seen Jonesy have a little bit of a contact with someone else, and another bit of contact with someone else. That wasn't Jonesy on the second occasion, I don't think. I mean, in these conditions, I mean, it's not going to be easy for the drivers to see the track or even see the cars around them. They've got to try and make sure they're still facing the right direction.
Birdie has gone up into first place. He's had a bit of ride, but no, he's kept in first place. So Livebry is now down to second, and Birdie now leads the race. And behind Livebry is Hesselden.
Behind Hesselden, GT Gavin at 2, and then in 4th place we've got James Hulkenberg. A couple of cars getting sideways. Richie Davies, someone's off, they're on the grass. Woolhouse is 7th, Jonesy 8th, it's Andy Russell who was on the grass in 9th place.
It's kind of tasting up in front. And yeah, Beardy's had quite a big gap in front. Livebry and Hesselden. And also GC Gavin had a bit of a tussle, and Hulkenberg has lost it. Hulkenberg lost it. and he made down to 7th place. He's still drifting my screen apparently. I don't know how he's doing that. I think
that's the that's the visual lag I mentioned to you before. It's really frustrating when it does that on project cars, but he's obviously had a bit of a moment somewhere, and probably during that semi-half spin, a little bit of desync. So now he's
it can get very frustrating when that happens, because I've had that happen quite a lot of occasions, especially in this car. And with this car, it's very difficult to hold those kind of flights. And it looks like someone else, Hulken, who was that? Was the goal was still letting Hulkenberg through it.
I'll tell you what we've got. It's not easy to hear you at the moment. Sorry, Rian, but 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, sort of 3 wide nearly into turn 1. I think we've had a couple of overtakes. Oh, we've got a car off. That's Dave the Harp. He's off. That's at turn 1. He's going to be passed. He managed to get up to 9th, but he's now down at 10th as Jason sneaks past.
See anything else? Yeah, but actually, something after Libra. I think he pitted or something. I'm not sure, because now second defensively, catching up to Beardy up front. And third is DC Gavin.
Fourth and fifth going at it. It's possible Livebry may have pitted, but not for a pit stop. It could have been a drive-through.
Possibly after a jump stop, who knows. And look at Millhouse and Richie Davey are having a bit of a battle right now. And there's quite a lot of smoke coming out from Hulkenberg's car, but we know that's because of lag.
A late move there!
That was a bit silly from Andy Russell. I know Richard Davey and Andy Russell are good mates, and well, I'm sure Richard Davey won't be happy about that at all.
Oh, he won't be, because he's now facing the barrier. I think he might be now out of this race. Jason, 8th place. He's all over the back now of Andy Russell, who's in 7th. He's having a cheeky look up the inside. Can't get that move done. Let's see where. I'll tell you what, Rian, have a look. Find out where Livebry is. I think he may have had a drive-through penalty. It did look like
the 13th.
Yeah, I think he's had a drive-through penalty. I do know at the start of the race, one car was miles ahead of everybody else, and I wondered whether it may have been because of a little bit of a jump start. Hulkenberg's now back up to 4th with Woolhouse 5th.
Yeah, Vector and Jason are having a bit of a battle going into the penalty corner. And Vector takes a wide line and going rather wide, and as we're going to keep going to pits, giving Jason some space on the inside of the last corner. Someone has had a bit of a collision there, going on to the start finish straight. I'm not sure, let me check who that is.
It looked
as Andy Russell.
I thought it might be. Saw a car. I mean, these guys are getting very, very close to each other in conditions where it's not easy to see each other, and every now and again one of them ends up facing the wrong way.
Yep, looks like Casey is lagging a little bit. Not sure if anyone else has seen that on track or if it's just us spectating. But hopefully it's not too much of a lag on track.
I'm surprised a little bit. Yeah, you're right, Casey. Yeah, his car's jumping around a little bit. I'm surprised he's down in 11th place at the moment, but looking at the front of his car, it looks like he's hit something quite hard. Car behind him, Livebry, who's trying to catch up to him, has just had a little moment off the track there. So Casey got GBM Vector ahead of him, and Jason, who made that lovely move, just ahead of him. And then Chris Core hunting down Dave the Harp, who's gained places, been knocked to the back, gained places, been knocked not quite to the back.
And Casey's, okay, never mind. I thought Casey lost it going into one of the left-handers, but his lag is getting a bit worse. Hopefully the drivers aren't seeing that on track.
Okay, now Woolhouse in 5th. He's under attack now from Jonesy, who's in 6th place at the moment. Don't know if Jonesy will have had much practice around here, but he's ready to try and attack Woolhouse here. I think Woolhouse may be surprised that he's in 5th place at the moment as well.
One thing when you mentioned that Casey having damage to the front and caused us something heavy, we haven't actually mentioned, I don't believe, that there's tires on the apex of every corner, and I've had this experience before. I'm not sure if you have during when you were practicing for this race, that if you hit them hard, then they can definitely damage your front suspension.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're not as light as you expect them to be.
No, and not only that, I mean, they can damage your suspension, but they can also damage the mechanicals of your engine. Because at the end of the day, at the front of these cars, as Jonesy goes very, very deep at turn 1. He's going to lose a couple of places now. Yeah, David Hart up to 6th. Yeah, I mean, the cars have got a radiator at the front, so if you hit them too hard, there is the potential of a little bit of damage there. Okay, quick look up at the front, and GBM Beardy still has a bit of a gap to Hesselden, who is in second place. And Hesselden looking a little bit smoother in this car at the moment, as it looks like the fog beginning to lift a little bit here, and all of the drivers will be looking forward to that one, as will we, because we'll be able to see a bit more. GT Gavin in third place, Hulkenberg drifting in fourth place. Dave the Harp, he's off, he's into the gravel. I don't know what happened there, but he's gone from fifth place down to 8th place. So in 5th is now Woolhouse, and then Jonesy in 6th, and Chris Court in 7th. And I tell you what, we're about to have about an 8-car battle here, all for 5th place.
Looks pretty fun indeed.
Jonesy.
Somebody's lost it. Jonesy's had it very wide, and Chris Court taking him on the outside, but looks like he's going onto the gravel, and he is. And Dave the Harp's on nowhere into 6th place, and look, and that is Yasin. Passing Jonesy for 7th place. We've got a collision there between Jonesy and Yasin, but Yasin breaking early, and that's Bullhouse losing it on run a bit wide.
This is going to get messy.
Like 5 places. It's going to get messy.
That looks like K-Slay could be going off a little bit. 5 cars. Maybe that's 6 cars.
Jonesy, Jonesy now down to 9th and now 10th and 11th. That is, I'm not sure that was. There's live by now to 11th, so this is hopefully, as long as the library keeps it clean and misses out any collisions, then he'll definitely be in contention of possibly a podium place here. You never know, because he was 1 second a lap faster than everyone in qualifying.
I'm for Ramon, and then K-Slay was spinning, but he's not. He has got a bit of lag going on, but this is absolutely, it's frantic, because Woolhouse is pitting, and so is Jonesy. That could be for damage. We've lost 2 drivers.
K-Slay has made it up to 7th, past Yasin, or Jason, and live by 9th, Victor in 10th, and Woolhouse is in the pits of the mid, and Jonesy as well.
Yep. Well, I think everyone else will be pleased that those 2 are out of the way. It might allow them to go and battle, but Chris Core, he's now a little bit of a cork in the bottle, but it's a bottle that K-Slay can't quite fit into because his car's all over the place. Live Bry in 9th with Jason just ahead of him. I mean, this is absolutely frantic, it's manic, but at the same time it's absolutely brilliant to watch.
I think it's similar to this weekend's Grand Prix, which we won't spoil, don't worry, but Manor finished 1 too. Anyway, moving on into the race, Live Bry is fighting with Yasin. Live Bry up to 8th place, I believe now, and Yasin is a very cautious driver. I mean, I've seen him in the World Championship league that he races in F1, and he's a very cautious driver, and he's very careful with his tyres, and yeah, he's been very clean so far. Yeah,
I mean, one thing I've seen from him, we've got Chris Core. Chris Core's gone wide. Yeah. That gives Live Bry another position, because could give Jason half a chance as well. But yeah, I mean, in the Project Cars League this season, there's been times where I've seen, I don't know if I'd call it aggression or from Jason, or whether it's more sort of like, at this point I'm faster than you, I'm going for it. Whereas, like you say, he is a very sort of cautious, looks after his car, looks after his tyres, but there's been times this season where he's like, no, I'm going to go for it, and it's really good to see. I tell you what, Live Bright, he's got Chris Core all over the back of him as we're looking at the trees that I don't want to have a look at. The 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th a bit further behind. A cracking battle going on here.
So far so good. Chris Core's having a bit of fun for us here, which is losing him a bit of time behind, and Yasin has moved up to 9th, I believe.
He's recovered 9th. I think GBM Vectra was having a look, managed to get past, but Jason with a nice line through turn 1 managed to hold on to position. Now, what all this managed to do, it meant that Dave the Hart managed to get out into 5th place and is trying to open up a little bit of a gap here. And he needs that really, because every time he's had a car near him, he's ended up in the gravel somewhere. So 5th place at the moment, a good position to be. But we're 5 laps into this race, and now we're into the point of tyres. If they're on the soft tyres, we could see them pitting very, very soon. If they're on the hard tyres, they could be trying to go for potentially a one-stop race.
Definitely. Well, I'm not sure how these cars are in terms of strategy, because I haven't actually done any race stints in these cars. I've only driven it about 5 laps on this track. All I know is how they handle, and it's not very nice in terms of handling. But yeah, you know more than me in terms of strategy, so
yeah, I mean,
strategy-wise,
I mean, we have seen some drivers use the soft tyres in qualifying, and then in a race, perhaps do one stint on them, but they do get absolutely destroyed. So I don't think we'll see or hear of many people using the soft tyre around this track, unless it was in those cooler temperatures at the early stages of this race. Or I'll tell you what, 5th, 6th, 7th, getting close again. I think on the harder tyre, I'm trying to remember, quite a lot of races, sort of 10 laps or so. Dave the Harp, that's alright, no problem. So Hulkenberg in the pit. Dave the Harp has also pitted.
And Live drives up to 4th place now, overtaking Casely. Beautiful overtake, nice and clean around the inside. Well, I thought he was going to go a bit wide, but he's managed to recover his line, and he's securely taking 4th place of the race. So it looks like Hulkenberg and Dave the Harp are possibly putting a bit of strategy into the mix, and hopefully to do some sort of undercut on these drivers.
And the undercut will be massive. Now, just to put things into perspective, we don't know which tyre the drivers are on. So if they are on the harder tyre and they've done 6 laps on them, we're looking at another 2 pit stops from Hulkenberg and Dave the Harp. If
Andy Russell disconnected.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So Andy Russell and Richard Avey are both out of this race. Yeah, if they were using the soft tyre and they've got 6 laps out of them, then the hard tyre could potentially do 12. And in a 24-lap race, if your hard tyre can do 12 laps, you're doing a one-stopper. That's your aim. And
yeah,
if you're doing a 2-stop when others are doing a 1-stop, you have got to make sure that you are super fast on your extra stints. Yep. 7th and 8th, there's 9th place. Hulkenberg spun it.
Hulkenberg's lost it. Yes, he has.
Cold tyres.
He's trying to catch up, possibly. In fact, I'm not sure. You probably do know about this. If you press triangle, then you do know what tyres the drivers are on.
Oh yes, slick softs for
yeah,
Jason.
I was looking at everyone is on the softs right now. You don't know. Yeah.
It might not be right. When we was doing the Lotus race, we've got a cracking battle going off here between Jason and GBM Vectra. Yeah, we was doing the Lotus race at Donington Park, and it was absolutely hammering it down. Proper storms as GBM Vectra. Yep, he's into the barrier, and here comes Hulkenberg. Just manages to get past. He needs to find a gear and get that car going, and he does so just in time for Woolhouse and Dave the Harp. So Dave, he went from 5th down to 10th making his pit stop, but he's now on potentially much fresher tyres. Yeah, at Donington Park, absolute stormy weather. Visually it was showing us as the drivers being on wet tyres, but they were on slicks. So yes, it may say slick softs here, but we can't always 100% believe it. It's one of those things. I mean, let's say for example Hesselden tends to run the hard tyre everywhere, so if it's saying that Hesselden's on the soft tyre, it could be lying. Let's see, we've just had another car pit. That's Chris Core. He's just come out of the pits, and he's slotted straight into this battle between Dave the Harp, Woolhouse and GBM Vectra, who's recovering from his spin. Let's see, have a look. Case lays up to 5th, Live Bry 4th, GT Gavin 3rd, Hesselden still 2nd, GBM Beardy still in 1st place. So yeah, I mean, it says for GBM Beardy, slick softs. It's possible it may be, but if we remember to ask whoever may be on the podium at the end, as Beardy now pits, We'll find out whether they were on the softs. Hesselden also pits. He's not risking any possibility of an undercut. GT Gavin trying to get into the pits. He's gone for a completely different pit entry that everybody else has been using, and he's just trying to work out where he's meant to go. Yeah, there you go. That's the pit entry. Nice one. Well done, Gav. You know I'll mention that if you're doing commentary with me on Friday. Although if you're lucky, I'll completely forget. So Live Bry, though, who we don't think pitted, we think may have had to do a drive-through penalty. He's now...
He's playing now.
Yep. He's into the pits, and GBM Beardy, he is already on his way out, and he's around turn 1.
Yes, he is. So he's still first place in the race. Again, not sure what tires he's on, but how long do you think the hard tires will last in this track?
It's really not an easy question to answer, because if they have just been running on the hard tyre, then that's about how long they'll last. 7 laps. That does seem a little bit short, if I'm honest. Let's see. I mean, for Beardy, it's still saying soft, so maybe as going softs. I mean, usually I'd say the harder tyre have been lasting, like I say, 10 to 12 laps. Around this track where they get punished, 7-8 laps wouldn't be a ridiculous guess.
And Vector into the pit, taking a rather aggressive line, pretty much cutting the left-hander completely going into the pits. But I'm sure that there's no penalties being dished out in the PCS and PCF.
No additional penalties, no additional added-on penalties, no. Got a bit of a battle going on.
As much as you want.
Yeah. But the game will penalise you for it. Second and third, Hesselden and Casely. Hesselden on fresher tyres manages to get past, but it's taken him 4 corners being side by side to do so. GT Gavin still 4th, Hulkenberg 5th with Live Bry right behind him. So I think Live Bry, yes, he did just pit. So both of these drivers have pitted, which means that Live Bry's caught up a massive amount with that spin that Hulkenberg had.
And this one is about Casely is trying to catch up on Hesselden up front in 2nd place. And GT Gavin has pulled quite a big gap, so it looks like he's just plain sailing from him. As long as he doesn't make any too many mistakes, he can pretty much cruise it. But I think when Live Bry's up to 2nd place, which you never know that might happen, then I think Beardy might need to turn up the wick a bit.
I think you could be right. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Casely going for the pits. No, not yet. He's continuing on. Right. Casely, he's I don't think he has made a pit stop yet, so he is now on lap 9 on his set of tyres. I doubt very much that'll be a set of soft tyres. That's got to be the harder tyre.
I just want to mention, ask you a question. You know the drifting lag that we're seeing in Hulkenberg, did the driver see that as well?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, there's been quite a bit of discussion about it, and one of the things, or one of the theories that was had was when a car goes over a curb and sort of gets bounced around a lot, sometimes it's happened just after that. And I mean, I'll try and sort of put it into layman's terms. When you're creating a racing game a little bit like this, you've got a car, and what you do is you create a box. Effectively, you've got a box on the floor, that is your car. Now you've got all the visual aspects of the car, and that goes on that box. Well, sometimes it's thought that when the cars go over a curb, whatever happens, the car bounces around, the visual aspect of the car gets desynced from that box. So although you're driving effectively the box around in the right direction, because the car is cockeyed in the box, everybody else sees it as you're now drifting around the track. So
I can see that. Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, go on.
Because I asked the question because I saw Live Bry actually moved off the racing line on the straights, because I think he wanted to see where his braking point was. And he's doing that just now actually, unless he's looking for a move, but he's so far behind, so I'm guessing he possibly is seeing this lag, which I'm guessing must be frustrating, but he's going for a look actually. Hulkenberg had a bit of a wide exit, and Live Bry's now going into the left-hander, and it looks like he's up to 4th place.
A little bit of contact.
It's a little bit, but yeah, he's up to 4th place.
Yeah, so like with that overtake there, you could kind of tell that Livebry sort of knew where Hulkenberg's car was, but perhaps didn't know exactly what Hulkenberg's car was doing because his car's cockeyed. So yes, I wouldn't be surprised if he's seeing his car going sideways and drifting as it is at the moment. But that does put Hulkenberg down to 5th place. David Hart 6th. Woolhouse and Chris Court, they're thrashing it out for 7th place at the moment. With 14 laps to go, about to make it 13 laps to go. Oh, Chris Court has got a good exit there. Going to try all the way around the outside. Turn 1 could get very, very interesting. There's a car coming out of the pits. That's Casely exiting the pits. So he's come out in what will now be 8th place on a brand new set of tyres. They'll be cold, but...
Oh, bit of a collision there.
Yeah, I wonder if Chris Core perhaps didn't realise that he was quite there then. So while Chris Core was lining up an overtake, Casely was doing exactly the same. Oh, Casely, has he gone deep or has he just got...
New tyres on there.
Oh, what a move. Has he got the inside line for the next corner? No, not on the car ahead, but just behind these, he's got a better exit.
Yes, that's new tyres for you.
Yep.
Casely also having a look on the inside of Woolhouse and side by side into the right-hander, and he's made it back. So that's Chris Core up to 7th place.
And here comes GT Gavin 2 now. He's, I'm guessing he's pitted recently because he was running in about 4th place. So you can see how much time he's lost by making a pit stop. Gone from what, 4th place? Oh, gives the car ahead a little bit of a nudge.
Yep.
Casely's car I've just seen do a somersault.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that's some impressive driving, that is. I think though that may have just affected Chris Core because Chris Core's now going slow.
Yeah. So the drivers must see that, which must be very frustrating. And I think the thing is that I don't think the game has any ghosting effect when the car lags like F1.
No, we did ask
from what I've seen. Anyway.
On one of the races recently, there was something that one of the topics of discussion was resetting to track. And resetting to track was something that we wanted the drivers not to do, because there was a few occasions where someone had reset to track, it plonked their car bang on the racing line, and a car comes round a corner, smash, hits some racers over, wanted to can't get rid of allowing... Oh, car going for the pits! Oh, that very nearly didn't work. That was Woolhouse going for the pits. But he had to chop off the front of Chris Core to do it. I tell you what, I think some of these guys driving was better when they couldn't see the track. They're getting very confident now. Live Bright, he's up to 3rd with Hulkenberg still behind him. I tell you what, GBM Beardy.
In the pits as well.
So Dave has done. Let's see, he pitted. I think he was about 18 laps to go. Yeah, that would, to me, I suggest perhaps soft tyres there.
Yeah.
Oh, what was I just mentioning? I forgot what I was talking. Yes, the resetting to track. We wanted the drivers not to do it because it was effectively just causing crashes. As Woolhouse is spinning, he's spinning. That's going to give GBM Vectra 10th place, is it? Yes, it is. Oh, but he's just clipped the side of him. That's Woolhouse. That's. I don't know if he's just come out of the pits, but he's now got Jonesy coming around turn 1 to try and attack him. Yes, we wanted to get rid of the resetting to track. I will get this out there. Now, one of the things we could have done is put ghosting on, but we did ask the drivers in their own practice to give it a test, whether turning ghosting on means that they could still race side by side, a little bit of contact, and it only ghosted if someone was going to ram someone, and I've had no feedback on it, or whether when you've got ghosting on, you're just in and out of each other all of the time, because if that's the case, it's like, well, there's no point doing that. But yeah, I mean, in a lagging situation like that, I mean, on F1 it does tend to be a little bit better. You may get a bit of ghosting to help you out in that situation, but we have also seen it where a little bit of lag like that can write off someone's car.
And Hulkenberg's into the pits. He's in 4th place right now. And Casely's on to start finishing, so he's going to take 4th place as well as GT Gavin. Just going in the final corner now. And I think Hulkenberg's on the pits, and he's just going it now.
So Hulkenberg drops down to 7th place, and I'm fairly sure that Hulkenberg has done 6 laps. Now, if they are on the hard tyres, I would think that he's absolutely hammering them. If it's on the softer tyres, then that'd be their sort of level of wear rate. Which one is we won't really know until we get to the podium interviews at the end. But that's Hulkenberg out of the pits and into 7th place with Chris Corr just ahead of him.
I forgot about the podium actually. I didn't even know there was any podium.
Yeah,
okay,
we do a little podium interview with him.
Right, now time to think of some questions to ask them.
Well, the easy one is, what tyres were you using? Did you plan that? Was it easy? How was it in the fog? Could you see where he was going? I tell you what, GBM Beardy, he is about to encounter traffic. So as he starts lap 13, or was it lap 14, got 11 remaining, he is approaching back markers.
He's pulled quite a big gap to Hesselden, and in second place Hesselden is just going round the first corner now, and Beardy is approaching turn 3, so it's pretty big gap between them. And yes, you could see that there's traffic ahead of them, and hopefully they'll move it the way swiftly.
I mean, something that I mentioned to you about the race on Friday and the Lotus cars around here. That Hesselden, I don't know if it was he just wasn't on pace around here. I mean, he didn't say he didn't have any problems or anything like that. But I think this is possibly just one of those tracks that perhaps doesn't quite suit him. It's not a track that he's a massive fan of. I mean, on Friday, James Hulkenberg was, I think by the end of it, James Hulkenberg's best second sector was a 46.8. Hesselden's best second sector was a 48.4. So that's sort of an example of how much time he was losing in that sector. And I'm wondering if this is just one of those tracks that Hesselden is not a massive fan of. So a second place finish for him here, he'd probably be happy with, as long as it was somebody else other than Beardy leading.
Yeah. And I think there's a possibility, and I'm guessing that Hesselden and Livebry will have to pit, that could Livebry take second place here? Because I'm looking at lap timings right now, and Livebry, well actually Livebry is actually a second slower than, well no, in fact Livebry just, in his current lap, he took 2 seconds off Hesselden, so there's a possibility that Livebry could take second here.
It is possible. I mean, Livebry was very unwell on Friday, and he was absolutely gutted that he wasn't able to race. And I tell you what, if it was a drive-through penalty that he had for a jump start, he will be absolutely fuming, because he was, he was fast enough to get pole position. So having done that, he will feel that he had the pace to go and win this race quite comfortably. So yeah, I mean, what might be worth doing, Ryan, is if you can find out exactly what the gap is.
Gavin, sorry, GT Gavin's into the wall. I'm not sure what corner that is. That's I think that's big.
It's in the sector 3. Yeah, it's the penultimate chicane. So he's now heading up to the final corner.
Ahead of him. Yeah. And I usually call that part of the track the stadium section. But yeah, he's down to 6th place, and Yasin is 7th. Well, Hulkenberg is now up to 5th place, so good recovery drive from him.
Yep, Jason, as you said, up to 7th. David Harp not far behind him in 8th, and Chris Corr not actually that far behind him in 9th. GBM Vectra looks like he may be trying to close up the gap to Chris Corr in 10th place. They're quite close. Jonesy, he's now got the leader, GBM Beardy, all over the back of him. See if Jonesy, nicely done Jonesy, gets out of the way. Now do not spin him, although Hesselden and Livebry, when they're watching, spin him, hit him. Yeah. But it's not something you want to say. I mean, there was a situation in real F1 today where a bit of a sort of blue flag situation, well, 2 blue flag situations actually, where one guy's saying, why should I move over, I'm faster than the guy, he's not even in my mirrors. And I kind of agreed with him on that one. and there was another one which was one driver much faster than the cars ahead, caught them up, and would have been perfectly within his rights to overtake, but I think was advised not to.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I watched the race today.
Yep.
Yeah.
We tried to talk about it without giving any spoilers. I must admit, today's race was a very, very interesting one, I think.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
I mean,
possibly a race of the season so far.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree. I mean, anyone that says that F1 is boring, then yeah, it's not. I mean, I remember doing FSR race around Spain, and I was watching the World Championship race in FSR around Spain, and there was a couple of people on the YouTube comments saying, oh, this is boring, there's no overtaking, real F1's better than this. And it's like, well, okay, I watched the real F1 today, and Spain is a very, very difficult circuit to overtake on, and a big part of that is because of that stupid Mickey Mouse section in the final sector.
Yeah. Just going through it now, I think there's no real challenge from anyone so far on track. And Jason's into the pits now. To the top 8, Chris Cord 9. So there's a gap between all drivers, and well, I think Jonesy can see Vectra up front of his. No, I think that's actually Roman. I'm not sure who that is actually up front.
It might be Woolhouse. Chris Core has managed to jump ahead of Jason. Jason's now down to 10th as GBM Vectra passes him. Jonesy is into the pits, and so is the race leader. Yeah, GBM Beardy, he's in the pits for what will be his final stop. I'm trying to think when it was that he made his previous stop.
So do you think he'll go for the gamble of the options or the soft tires, or would he go for the safe option of the hard?
He'll go for whatever tyre will get him to the end of this race, as Hesselden is also into the pits. There's his main challenge. So Beardy, he's already on the way, he's already on the move. And Live Bright...
Hesselden's made a complete mess of the entry of the pits, and Hesselden's lost the wheel.
No, that's not that. It's not Hesselden. Hesselden's already in the pit box. Live Bride's now pulling into the pits. Hesselden is on a very, very long pit stop. Who was that though? I did see a car struggling on the entry of the pits. Yes,
sure. I think it may be in Wheelhouse actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it may have been. It looks like it could have been. Casely has pitted, so we're into the what should be the final round of pit stops. Live Bry, he's going to come out of the pits in 3rd place. Casely's in 4th. James Hulkenberg in 5th. I don't think, well, he pitted 3-4 laps ago, so I think Hulkenberg has got another pit stop to make.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, is it just me, or is there a lot of smokers around this track? Because it's suddenly getting a little bit more difficult to see the cars.
Actually, yeah, I just noticed that the fog appears to come back. There's still a little bit of fog out there. I'm not sure if it's coming back.
I've
just noticed that as well.
I've got a feeling it might be coming back. But anyone that's just made pit stops, I think they'll be trying to take it to the end now. I think Hulkenberg, Dave the Hart may have another stop to do.
I'm just going to say that Hulkenberg's catching up to Livebry quite a bit here, and I'm not sure if Livebry had a bit of a moment in one of the corners, but it looks like Hulkenberg is a bit closer to Livebry, but I think Livebry's got the pace to pull away from Hulkenberg right now.
I think I'd agree with you on that one. I mean, usually Hulkenberg would be in the commentary box on a Sunday, but he was on the reserves list for the PCS, and with a couple of drivers letting me know that they weren't going to be, and Hulkenberg wanting to get involved, I thought I'd let him. We'll go and watch him crash a few times, but at the moment, as Rian says, he is catching Livebry, but Livebry should be quick enough once he gets those tyres up to temperature to pull away, and the fog is definitely coming back in. You know what's going to happen here? we're going to end up with 6 laps at the end of the race where we're not going to be able to tell who is who, what is what, what's happening.
Yeah.
I tell you, here's sort of slightly off-topic question. I mean, I love Aussie V8s. You've had a bit of a go in them. I tell you, Hulkenberg, sorry, is really, really close to live bright. If we get a decent camera angle here, may be able to have a look at Hulkenberg attacking. He's closed the gap up. I mean, I enjoyed tin top racing, and I enjoy open wheel racing. But for you, Rian, what's your thoughts on the Ferrari F1 sort of cockpit, T-bar and the Red Bull canopy?
Well, I think there needs to be some sort of head protection. And if
it's called a helmet.
Or the helmet, but Hulkenberg spun it.
It has.
Hulkenberg has spun it. And he looks to be doing a few donuts right now, but he's still maintaining 4th place. But 5th place, Casely, is just going in that particular bend.
He's too far away to get past him, but he can now see the lights in the distance.
But that'll lift a lot of pressure off a live drive. But yeah, going back to the discussion, I know the helmet is a form of head protection, has obviously been a form of head protection for the history of F1. If I had to pick between a canopy of the actual canopy of Red Bull or the sort of halo sort of kind of structure that Ferrari proposed, I would pick the Red Bull because it does look better, but there could be some bits here and there that could change. And I do remember that Ricardo was talking about visibility when he had his practice run, his installation lap on the canopy, and he did say that visibility isn't too bad. But the thing that could possibly be an issue is when it rains, and that could potentially be a problem. But if you think about the Jaguars are having problems in the spray in the helmet, so would it really make much of a difference?
Well, I think when it rains, I mean, one of the things that Johnny Herbert mentioned was that water would sort of go up the screen, and when you slow down, I mean, if you've ever been in a car and it's raining, or you get in a car and it's been raining and you go to drive off, if you open the window a little bit and you're driving and you turn left, chances are you're going to get dripped on. The water drips off the top of the door straight onto you. So that kind of effect can happen. But also there could be a misting effect, but that's something that they could solve that with a heated element in it. I mean, drivers' visors, quite a few of them have heated elements in them. I think I liked the Red Bull design, but for me, I think my biggest concern with it was, if you take an F1 car now, we've got a crash, Who's that?
Oh, Wheelhouse. He's lost a wheel. He's done the same thing again, going into the pits. So
yeah, I don't
think he's had some sort of collision.
I think he's parking that one.
He looks like it, unless he's going to reverse into the pit lane, which would be rather interesting to watch. But no, I think he's making it back out, and he's missed the pit lane.
Sorry to interrupt. Hulkenberg, he's now down in 6th place. He's just been attacked by Chris Corr, who's in 7th. GT Gavin, he's managed to get through. K-Slay's got through as well. I think Hulkenberg must have gone for his final pit stop, which has put him down now in 6th place, but gives him chance on fresh tyres to try and attack GT Gavin too. So apologies for missing all that while we were talking F1 Halos. But yeah, what I was going to say was, I mean, you take an F1 car now and you pick it up and turn it upside down. It's going to rest on the T-bar of the camera and sort of the part of the nose of the car where it starts going down. So it's 2 pivot points are there, as Hulkenberg getting really, really close to GT Gavin now. But if you put the Red Bull canopy on the car and you pick it up and turn it upside down, then its pivot points are the T-cam and the top of the canopy. So if the car ends up upside down, in the current form, a driver could climb out of it. With the Red Bull canopy, there's going to be no space for him to get out of that. He would have to wait until the car is turned over to be able to get out.
Even remembering back to the first race in Australia when Alonso had a humongous crash in turn 3, I believe that was, with Gutierrez. And luckily that Alonso did survive it and was well. I think he did miss the next 2 races after that, unfortunately. But the way that the car was resting on the it was basically resting sort of 45 degrees to the ground, right next on the tyre wall. So I think with the Red Bull canopy, he probably couldn't get out. And in that situation, we were lucky that if the canopy did exist, and we were lucky that the car wasn't on fire. Otherwise, Alonso would have been in trouble.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely some sort of there's definitely a concept, and hopefully they will find the perfect solution by 2017, which is the proposed
is a proposed solution. Ejecto-cito! I'm about to crash, hit a button, parachute sorted. But no, I mean that's the thing. I mean it's little things like that. I mean this is why in F1 they're testing those things and they're looking at that kind of stuff. I mean you take NASCARs. I know these aren't NASCARs, but I mean on NASCARs, when a NASCAR gets spun around, you'll see flaps pop up all over the place to help slow the car down. They're only there for that one simple reason, to help avoid a crash. But they also have a flap on top of the roof that the driver can get out of in case they can't get out of the doors, because when those cars hit those walls they get mangled a good one.
Yeah, aye. But even then I think the best way to look at how closed canopies work is definitely in Le Mans, when they use the closed canopies. And I think if they look into how those safety structures work and how drivers are recovered after a big crash, then I think that could be the turning point of what will happen to the closed canopies in F1. But even then, when they do turn to closed canopies, it will be a shame to miss out on the open cockpits which we're used to since the start of F1, really.
I mean, what I found interesting with it was, and for any of the viewers that are watching this and thinking, oh god, they're talking F1, apologies about that, but we are massive F1 fans, and it is quite an important thing. I mean, I went to Donington Park for a historic day. One of my nieces wanted to go there for her birthday, so that's what we did. And I tell you what, they were driving F1 cars from like the 50s and 60s, and these guys, I must admit, right, I'd never really seen them going around a track before, and I thought it'd be a parade. It weren't no parade. These guys were absolutely giving it the beans, and I'm sat at the outside of the old hairpin thinking, if any one of these guys just gently nudges the other, they're dead. There's no if, buts or maybes, they're dead, right? That's it, end of. And I compare that to sort of current F1, where the drivers are going, okay, yeah, we want to try and make it safe, but I'm perfectly happy to get in this car as it is and drive at 210 mile an hour, right? And I'm happy to go and thrash it around Monaco. And I thought about these guys driving these old classic cars. They're either absolutely bonkers or they love it so much that they're perfectly happy to put themselves in that situation of, look, I know what could happen and I'll hope that it doesn't. So someone like Paul di Resta, who recently said, look, I've won in DTMs, I love racing tin tops, and there is more of a safety factor to that there, but he would not hesitate at jumping in another F1 car where his head's exposed with his helmet.
Yeah, and I just want to go back onto the track.
8th and 9th place?
Yeah, 8th and 9th place. I think that's the only bit of traction which has happened so far on track.
I like you got a new word there. That's the only bit of traction going on. Track action becomes traction.
Well, Hulkenberg lost it, in fact. He's had a bit of a bend.
He has.
And he then down into 9th place. So that's David Hart and Chris Scott ahead of him.
Yeah, so not going particularly brilliantly for Hulkenberg here then. A few spins, obviously getting on with this track in the Lotus, but not in these Aussie V8s. Now I did see a few moments ago that Hesselden was having to deal with a lot of traffic, but David Hart's got a good run on Chris Core here. Having a look, oh, there's no room for him. No, Chris Core says, no, you're not coming that way.
Oh, very close to Hulkenberg, trying to go past it off as well. Pretty close battle with 2 laps to go.
Yep. Well, throughout the course of the race, Hulkenberg has been the faster of the 2 drivers that are ahead of him. So, as he's going down the straight a little bit wonky sideways, he'll be hoping to try and steal a position here. Apologies for the dodgy camera angle, just showing me a grate in the pit lane. There's absolutely nothing I can do about that. I know F1's camera angles aren't exactly brilliant at times, but yeah, project cars and pit lanes just don't seem to be able to cope.
Yeah, it does disappoint me that this game has been in beta since 2012, and it did come out properly in 2014, and yeah, even at launch there was a lot of problems with it, so it's kind of disappointing about that, but like F1, they are solving it slowly, and yeah, it's let's say it's a more stable racing game now than it was when it was launched.
Well, I mean, when you consider that when they first launched Project Cars, we wouldn't have even been able to sit here doing this because you couldn't retire back to the pits and watch the race. I mean, that was a feature that they actually had to bring in a patch to allow, but Hulkenberg's all over the back of Dave the Harp now. We are going to have to start keeping a bit of an eye on the leaders. I believe it is still GBM Beard leading the way, but Dave the Harp, he's got a run on Chris Core here. Thinking about having a look over the inside, but that could just be showing an open door to Hulkenberg, who's now having a look at the inside, but can't quite get it done. Very difficult situation for Dave the Harp here. He wants to attack, but he's got to defend.
I need to get the front door and be back in a sec.
No problem. I'm just going to quickly jump off this battle here. Yeah, he's about to cross the line to start the final lap of the race. So a quick look at the current running order. That could still change over the course of the race. He's got a big lead over Hesselden here in second place, who's only just getting up to the final corners now. Live Bright in third place. He's done well to get back up to third place, but again, a big gap from him to Hesselden. And K-Slay possibly actually closing in on him. Has he got enough time to catch him and get past? GT Gavin in 5th, Jason in 6th, Chris Core still running 7th with Dave the Hart behind him in 8th, and Hulkenberg right behind him in 9th, GBM Vectra 10th, and Jonesy in 11th. So let's go and get on board. Let's see, where is GBM Beardy? He's into Sector 2.
Okay, I'm back.
But I tell you what, Rian, if you could keep an eye on 7th, 8th and 9th place and let us know if they do change position, because GBM Beardy, he's not far off the end of this lap. He's had an absolutely fantastic race.
Hulkenberg moved up to 8th place, and it's going to be a very close by lap before 7th place of this race. And Hulkenberg is very close behind who is that?
Chris Core.
Yeah. Dave the Harp has pulled. Well, he has actually lost out on. I think he did have a bit of a moment going into the stadium section of that part of the track. And I think, yeah, Christopher is actually pulling out.
Okay, well, you keep an eye on that just in case it does change. But GBM Beardy, he's only got 2 corners to go. He's on for what will be his 4th win of Season 3 in the PCS. I mean, we mentioned on Fridays about sometimes the car gets changed and it suits one driver more than another. This is a car that this guy is enjoying because it is a 4th win for him here in Brno. Fantastic result for him. Hesselden 2nd place.
Oh, Hulkenberg's lost it again. He's now down to 9th. So he's had quite an unlucky race this race, hasn't he?
Yes. He's probably still enjoyed it though, a few donuts, realised just how difficult these cars are to drive. Hesselden though, he's now coming around the final corner. I think he's going to be disappointed that Beardy, he'll congratulate him, but he'll still be disappointed that Beardy's gone and taken another win. Let's see, 3rd place, it was Live Bright and K-Slay wasn't that far behind him, but it does look like it is going to be Live Bry. He's got G1990 Jonesy next to him in a blue flag situation, and Casely really isn't that far behind. But it will be another podium position for Live Bry. Second last week, third this week. A good result for him. Nice job. Casely across the line to take fourth. And then I think it's GT Gavin is next across the line in fifth place. Have we got any movement between Chris Core, Dave and James?
Not that I can see, no. I could say that. No, in fact, nah, nothing. 'Cause I thought, yeah.
Yeah,
okay, a bit confusing.
it switches the positions. It's really annoying. This is a point where I would say to the drivers, don't leave the lobby until everyone's crossed the line. GT Gavin then, fifth place for him. And I think Jason is coming in for a sixth place finish. He's had a cracking race here today, if it is sixth place for him. I mean, you mentioned it earlier on, he looks after the car, or tries to, looks after the tyres, and today, he's slowing down, he's pulling over.
He's run out of fuel, I think. That must have been because his engine shut off as well.
Oh, he'll be absolutely gutted if that's a run out of fuel on the last lap. We said he looks after his car, he looks after his tyres. We didn't mention about fuel. Does this mean then that Chris Core's going to steal sixth place? Is staying seventh across the line, eighth for Dave the Hart. Hulkenberg, he's in ninth. I think he's got a car ahead of him, but they could be a lap down, or it could be Hesselden. So it is Hulkenberg after Rian said he had another spin. And then GBM Vectra for 10th place, and Jonesy it'll be for 11th. Well, try and sum that race up then, Rian.
Well, lots of action happening in the first half of the race. The second half, not as much. But yeah, I think I'm looking to Live Bry having some sort of penalty because of, I think it could have been a jump start where we asked him on the podium interviews. But good recovery drive from him to finish third, and well done to Beardy for winning the race.
Yeah, another fantastic drive from Beardy. Didn't get the fastest lap. Live Bry got fastest lap, did he? By 1/1000th of a second. Live Bry 2 minutes 5 seconds 9:05. GT Gavin 2 minutes 5 seconds 9:06. Casely 2 minutes 5 seconds 9:10. So ridiculously close between those two on the lap times. But I mean, it's classified Jason there as sixth place, but we may have to find out exactly what happened to him there. Okay, I'm now going to invite the podium sitters in for a little bit of a chat, so apologies for the blue screen for a moment, folks. If I get chance, I may pop my phone onto YouTube to see if any of the viewers have any questions to ask them. If I don't know, don't hold it against me, guys. Okie doke. Hesselden then, and Live Bry and GBM Beardy are about to get invited in for a little bit of a chat. Would you like to ask them, Rian, about what tyres they were on?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, I'll pass that over to you as the first question then, as the drivers make their way in to us. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that race there. I mean, in tricky conditions, tricky visibility conditions. I mean, there wasn't much action up at the front, as Rian said, at the second half of the race, but I mean, there was 8-9 cars absolutely thrashing it out for effectively fifth place at the time. Absolutely brilliant to watch. I've just spotted that one of the guys has joined us. I think that may have been GBM Beardy, and Hesselden has now joined us as well. So guys, take a breather and we'll hang on a moment for Live Bry.
I just want to confirm that I'm looking at the YouTube comments, and Jason has said that he didn't run out of fuel, but he did finish sixth. So that's reducing. So
Okay, so he can look after his fuel as well then. Right, the guys have now all joined us in the commentary box, so fantastically well done to GBM Beardy taking a 4th win of the season. Hesselden, who probably this weekend will never want to race around Brno again, and Livebry, who after not feeling too well on Friday and looking like he had the pace, or telling us he had the pace to win the race, giving it a damn good go here today. Now I know that GT5 King Rian has got a question for the drivers, so I will hand straight over to him for that one.
Alright guys, first of all well done to the top 3 and also GPM Birdie for winning the race once again. So well done to you, man. It's one thing that we were talking about throughout the race was strategy. That we know that this track is very hard on the tyres. So Birdie, how was the tyres and how was the strategy for you?
And what tyres were you on?
Well, all through the race was on the hard compound. So I decided to do 8 and then 16 and then to the end of the race.
16, right, cool. And what about you, Hesselden? Same question to you?
Yeah, same as the
Same.
8 and 8.
Right, cool. And what about you, Library? Library there?
Hello, is it me you're looking for? The game said I was on softs, but I was really on the pods.
Yeah, that's what we're asking because the game did show that you were on softs constantly. So yeah, that's what we're asking. Have you got any questions to ask?
I've got plenty of questions to ask them. Livebry, by the sounds of it, isn't talking at the moment. Hopefully he's still feeling okay. Beardy, fantastic result for you there. Livebry, if I remember correctly, banged it on pole position with a cracking lap. I can imagine that was a little bit frustrating for you, but just in case we don't get to hear from Livebry, from your view at the start of the race, did it perhaps look like there was a little bit of a jump start there and he had to do a drive-through penalty?
Yeah, I kind of like thought at the start, I ain't trying to be clever on the start, but when I saw Bright just absolutely fly off the line, I was like, that's definitely a jump start.
So
as it went through.
So at that point then, are you thinking, right, I don't need to attack this guy, or was it always, let's go get him, I'm winning this race?
Well, I had to attack him, to be honest, because I didn't know what lap he'd probably come in to serve it.
Yeah.
So I thought, go out 100% attack and then build a gap.
Well, it worked. Other question I've got for you at the moment is visibility. I mean, the conditions today were very, very difficult. In qualifying, started really foggy and brightened up, and in the race, started really foggy, brightened up, became really foggy. How difficult was it in those foggy conditions to A, see where you're going, and B, see the cars?
Well, for your first question, it was an absolute disaster. I was just trying to memorise the circuit, really. And just absolutely use all the braking markers as a reference. And all that.
I'm glad you didn't say dead easy, I just followed the green line. So the second part of the question.
Well, there was some cars again drifting.
Yeah.
But all I could see was just making it worse. Because all I could see was smoke and then it being foggy.
Well, you've done a fantastic job to get maximum points here today. Looks like you're going to extend your lead a little bit more. You had an 11-point lead over Livebry anyway, and you'll extend that by 9 points on him. Now, we may come back to you in a few moments' time. And for the viewers, if you do have any questions you want us to ask to the drivers, feel free to comment them, and we'll get Rian to read them out in a few moments' time. We'll move on to Hesselden. Hesselden, many would think happy with second place there. I've got a feeling perhaps not so pleased.
No, I'm happy. Yeah, they've been to fast, haven't they? I see in quality they was quick. I was probably looking at third. Luckily, obviously, not luckily, Live ran a bit of a jump start, had to come in, and that's the only reason for committee. Other than that, I'd have been third. But yeah, one place better than I should have been really. So
fair enough. So after this weekend, 2 races here, 2 second places. Will you be analysing the speed that these other guys have had over these 2 races and changing things for the next rounds?
I'm a bit behind now, and so got to try and find some pace somewhere. But I don't know, they are quick.
Yes.
We'll give you a shout next week.
That sounded like Live Bri. We'll come to you in a moment, Live Bri. My last question for you, Hesselden, would be similar to what I just asked GBM Beardy about how difficult the conditions were. I mean, I'll ask in a slightly different way. Is it easier to race in the wet than fog?
That's about the same really, but the only thing was my braking markers were like on the track, like the black marks on the track and bits. With the fog, you couldn't see any of this. Like I couldn't see like anything really, and I was just struggling with the brake mark. I think I used, I don't know, it made it hard. Yeah, I nearly had a few accidents because of the fog. So yeah, that was a struggle.
Well, a very good race from yourself, and a quick mention as well. I know GT5 King has asked before about, or mentioned before about doing night races. I've not been a big fan of doing the night races for a couple of reasons. One is, when doing the commentary and broadcasting, all we'll see is white lights, red lights, nothing else. And for the drivers, they're not going to see much either. So, although it'd be really good when you're racing, although difficult as a viewing spectacle, you're probably not going to see a lot. But we'll move on to Live Bri now. And Live Bri, I'm guessing that is one race that perhaps a little bit frustrated by, but also very, very pleased to get back up to 3rd.
That one did get away from me.
So at the start of the race then, GBM Beardy mentioned it, bit of a jump start.
Too eager on that clutch.
Oh dear.
Too eager, jumped it.
So how painful was it doing those sort of opening laps, knowing that you're going to have to do that drive through and it's probably going to put you right at the back?
I knew I was going to enjoy the race once that happened, to be fair, because that track makes for some really good overtaking. So it was a nice run back through the field.
It was more than a nice run back through the field. It was a fairly epic one. Stealing Hulkenberg's lines here, it was a fairly epic one. I mean, I think when you came out of the pits, you were in 13th place and managed to get back through up to 3rd. Absolutely fantastic drive. Now, we asked the other guys about what tyres they were on throughout the race, because GT5 King wanted to mention that we can look at the telemetry and it'll tell us what tyres they're on. We had a little chat about that because we said, well, it's telling us softs, but I'm fairly sure they're on hards. So give us a shout about what tyres you were on, what your strategy was going to be, and whether you changed it after having to make that first stop.
No, I didn't change it at all because I didn't stop really, did I? It was the drive-through, so it was just a case of me running through the pits. I didn't change any tyres, so I just stuck to the same strategy. And I run hard through the race. I'm guessing the other two run hard all the way through because them softs weren't lasting no time at all. Well,
here's a question for you actually, because I mean GT5 King's a little bit new to these cars. He did have a go in them early and was asking me about tyre life, and I'd said that at previous races you could kind of about get 5 or 6 laps out of the soft tyres, possibly 10 to 12, maybe a bit more out of the hards. But at this track it could be a lot worse. So how many laps would a set of soft tyres lasted, do you reckon?
8 laps would the soft last, did you say?
Yeah. How long do you think a set of softs would have lasted?
5 would max. That's with nothing left in the front at all.
Yeah.
Like a cheese grater, that's it.
It is a cheese grater, and I think Hesselden's feeling a bit of a cheese grating rash from it as well, although he's had quite a successful weekend. But for yourself, Live Bri, a fantastic recovery drive there. I mean, showed that you have got the pace around this track, and I hope you're feeling a little bit better too. Okay, over to good. Over to GT5 King. Any questions from the viewers for our podium sitters?
Got one. Well, one question to the podium drivers, starting off with Beardy. Are you planning on joining the F1 League in FRR?
I've been. I used to have the F1 game. I didn't quite get on with it this year, but I'm planning to going over to iRacing in a couple of weeks.
That's where his future lies.
Yeah, it's going he's starting to become a cheater now. Anyway, going to second place, Heselden. Are you going to join the F1 division of FR?
I've tried it in the FRI and I'm always at the back, so I just concentrate on the PCS. I'm terrible at that game, apparently. But, yeah, I don't even bother practicing.
That's a good point, actually. You did join us for a couple of Fridays races. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I went Brazil. I qualified like 11th, I think, out on the first corner. And then I went to Abu Dhabi, qualified at the back, spun out, and I was just like, I'll just concentrate on the PCS from now on. So, yeah. It was a bit of a struggle moving over from one game to the other, like within like an hour, so I was just struggling with that. So.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, same question to you, like, Brian?
No, I won't buy the F1 games. They're not for me.
Okay, fair enough. Right, so any other questions? Well, there's a personal question to me from a racing GP, from a racing GP also asked the quick previous question. Am I going to shave? I'm not entirely sure about that one, but I was just having a look at a conversation which Casely and Chris Core had. I'm not sure if you guys probably seen on chat that Casely was having quite a lot of lag throughout the race.
When I was following him for the first few laps, when I was running back through the field, when I was staying behind him, I just couldn't pass him at all because of the actual lag that he was getting.
Yeah, there was one part where he did do a somersault, absolutely epic to see, and if he was in the Olympics, he'd have probably have won. I mean, he was going round a corner, triple somersault, backflip, back on the wheels, carried on going, no positions lost, 10 out of 10, absolutely amazing.
Well, Casely did say that a lot of people were lagging on my screen at the start, including yourself, Chris Core. He's having talked to Chris Core there.
Yeah.
Apologies if I did hit you, but was no contact on my screen. Well done, podium sitters. Tough with the lag/fog. And Chris Core did say that no problems. Casely, damage was not a big one, so Chris Core was affected by the lag. And also,
one of the things as well. I mean, we see it on F1 and on Project Cars. If there is one car that is, there's the sideways drifting, which I'm still don't think that that's necessarily lag, but the lag that Casely had today was something different. And if everyone else is seeing his car jump about like that, then there are obviously the possibilities that for him, everybody else's cars are doing that. So I can imagine it was an interesting race from his point of view, thinking, well, I'm going around the track and everybody else is like a helicopter dive bombing me. So we'll see how that goes on in the future. Anyway, time to just about bring this to an end now. And you'll be glad to know, guys, I've got my list of tracks out, so I know which we're at next. Next up, though, on the Front Row Racing YouTube channel will be on Wednesday for round 19, the final round of season 6 on F1, the World Championship on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. That'll be at Abu Dhabi. But next up for the PCS will be next Sunday at 8:30 p.m. for 27 laps around the Imola circuit. What I will quickly mention, though, drivers, is you're on about this track being a bit of a cheese grater on the tyres, being a bit of a tricky one. Well, Imola's next, but after that, it's the green hell. It's the Nordschleife. So, as bad as you think Brno might have been, the Nordschleife is not too far away. Okay, thank you very much to our podium sitters. Very well done on fantastic race from them. And even though they may not have had loads of action for GBM Beardy and Heselden up at the front, I'm sure they'll still enjoy watching everything else that happened from behind. And well, for Live Bright, he was involved in a lot of it. So thank you very much to all of those, and to the rest of the drivers. Thank you very much to GT5 King for joining me on commentary this evening.
No problem, it's been a pleasure.
It definitely has, and hopefully you'll be joining me next week as well on Sunday for the race around Imola. This has been the Front Row Racing PCS. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.